Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Strong as You Think. So, today I want to talk about why sometimes we feel like we don't like ourselves. Because for a lot of us, if we're being honest, there are times when we don't feel like we like ourselves. So, I want to talk about why this is and a little bit how we can work on that. Because if we understand why, we can start doing things to make that better. So, if to start thinking about that, let's think about the way we treat ourselves, because the reality is when we feel like we don't like ourselves, we actually have a relationship with ourselves. Okay. It sounds a little bit silly sometimes, but it's true because we do have feelings about ourselves, and that really kind of constitutes a relationship with ourselves. So if we have a relationship with ourselves, then we want to start thinking about how are we treating ourselves? And sometimes we put ourselves last and we don't treat ourselves the way we would treat other people. So, in saying that, I'm not trying to say that we need to just be selfish and put ourselves ahead of everything else, but we also don't want to have ourselves be last in line either. So, to kind of show what I mean, I want to use kind of a generic example, but let's think about if you made an appointment with a friend, say we're going to get together every Wednesday at 6:30 and we're going to exercise together. So you wake up one Wednesday and you just think, "Oh, I'm tired. I don't feel like going. I stayed up late." And if you just didn't show up, how would your friend feel? You didn't call them, you didn't tell them the night before anything. And they get up at 6:30 and you just didn't come without any reason. You call them later and said, or they call you later and say, "Hey, are you okay? What's up?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm okay. I just didn't feel like coming." And how would that friend feel? Or you can flip it and say, what if your friend did that to you? You got up, you were ready to go, and your friend didn't show up. So a little later, after the exercise, you text or call and said, "Hey, I missed you this morning. Is everything okay?" And they said, "Yeah, I'm fine. I just didn't feel like it this morning." And so maybe if they did that once, maybe twice, it would be okay. You'd probably be disappointed, but maybe it'd be okay. But if this kept happening, how would you feel about that friend that kept not showing up? You might think, "I don't know if they like me that much. I don't know if they respect me. And I can't really depend and plan on them. So I don't really like making plans with them anymore." But so often, this is how we treat ourselves. We can't trust ourselves to follow through with plans for ourselves. And so we don't trust ourselves, and we don't even like ourselves. And that's why, is because we're not treating ourselves very well. We're not making ourselves a priority. So how do we build that trust back up with ourselves? How do we develop that relationship back with ourselves so that we feel like we like ourselves, that we trust ourselves? So there's a concept I learned from Jody Moore called minimum baselines. Okay. So that means that we're going to set a minimum place that we want to achieve, that we want to do, where we'll consider that successful. So it doesn't have to be big, and it shouldn't be big, because we don't want to set ourselves up to fail. We want to set ourselves up to succeed. Now, that doesn't mean that that's all that we can do. But if we set a minimum to where we can be successful, that's going to build trust that we will absolutely do that. And if we don't do that, we're going to have a really good excuse. Okay. So, for example, let's go back to the exercise again. So instead of thinking that you've set up an appointment with a friend, you're going to set that up with yourself. I am going to exercise once a week for 45 minutes. I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. and exercise for 45 minutes once a week. That's my minimum baseline. That is what I need to do to be successful. Okay. And so why is it once? Because you might want to do more than once. But once, if you haven't been doing it all, is probably a great place to start because it's a lot better than none. And as you achieve that minimum baseline and you feel successful with that, there's a good basis to start building on. Okay. So you're going to do that once a week, and it doesn't mean you can't do more. You do your one time and you're feeling good. I'm doing this, and you might get excited and feel good, and you might do more. Have you ever felt that when you get that momentum, you're feeling successful about something and it drives you, you want to do more. But if you put your minimum baseline at 3 and you only do 2, you feel bad. But if you set your minimum baseline at 1 and you do 2, you feel great. I did over and beyond. And it's still 2. It's still the same thing. So I suggest to build trust with yourself, to make a firm commitment to yourself to do something, whether that's exercising, whether that's self-care in another way, whether that's I'm going to read my scriptures, if that's something that you want to do. But make a goal, but make it achievable. Make it really doable. Really, really make it easy to build that up. And when you're feeling good about it, you're going to want to do more. Because if you did the 2 times and you were feeling excited, you might want to do 2 times next week. You might even want to do 3. But if you did 2 and you wanted to do 3, next week you might not even do 2. Because you might want to give up. Because sometimes when we feel like we're not making progress, we just want to give up and we don't feel good about ourselves. And then we beat ourselves up. And we're not having that good relationship with ourselves, and we don't trust ourselves to follow through. So what I want to suggest is that you work on finding a minimum baseline. Build that trust with yourself. You're going to start liking yourself more. You're going to have a better relationship with yourself. So thank you for joining me this time on Strong as You Think. If you want more help with this, feel free to message me and we'll set up a free 30-minute discovery call. Bye.